Wonderful. Okay. So thanks everyone for joining. Welcome to our Civic Launchpad. This is our every other month webinar series featuring government innovation projects that are happening across Colorado. Very excited to be featuring Sarah and Flox and what they're doing here in the state and around the world to protect both people and wildlife from conflict. And actually just yesterday, I was in this new group called AI for Good, and we were talking all about ways AI could be used for good, and the topic of wildlife came up, and someone was like, wouldn't that be crazy if we could train AI to listen and talk with animals? And I was like, do I have the webinar for you? So anyways, I'm very excited for this. And we have Sarah Noskova, the CEO and co-founder of Flox Intelligence here to talk a lot more about exactly that topic. I met Sarah, over 2 years ago and was absolutely blown away by what they have been doing. And so I'm very happy that they are now working in Colorado, and we've had the opportunity to work with Flox to get them here over the last 2 years or so. And so Sarah, I will hand it over to you. You'll have 20-ish minutes to present, and then we'll have lots of time for Q&A with the group.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Tyler. Hello, everyone. It's great to be here. So let me see if I can share the screen.
Perfect.
Are you able to hear some stuff? All right, so what you actually heard is how animals have been communicating for thousands of years, and they've been signaling danger, they've been claiming territory, and also coordinating movement through sounds. And this is exactly what Flox Intelligence is about. So we started to study animal communication, and we have started to also look into how complex it actually is. And it's that complex that just to give you an example, prairie dogs can actually warn each other and say like there's a man in a yellow jacket that's coming. So that's so complex, and it's something that we would not have been able to discover without the AI tools that we have today. And what we are doing at Flox Intelligence is to decode that communication and then apply it as part of infrastructure. So I think the best way to describe it is wildlife intelligence for critical infrastructure. And I will tell you today a little bit more about kind of what we are doing, how, why, and I will also go through some of the cases that we have in Colorado and also in the world. So why we are doing what we are doing is because we have seen that the human infrastructure has been expanding. We are building new roads, we are expanding airports, and also both trains and aircrafts are actually getting faster and more quiet. So they don't give so much space and room for animals to actually get away. And instead, what we see today is daily reality like this. So this one is quite catastrophic, but there is a lot of different bird strikes and wildlife strikes with airplanes. You might have seen collisions with deer or elk with trains, and there's a lot of repairs also, but the delays and the passenger experiences as well impacted, and of course the animal welfare and all the sustainability involved as well. And this one is quite drastic as well, but this is also happening every single day. So car crashes are becoming more and more common, unfortunately. And if we look at the human-wildlife conflict, it's a lot about animal welfare, biodiversity, but also for the industries that we work with, it's about guaranteeing safety and also avoiding financial losses that could have been prevented. So in aviation, a bird strike with an airplane can easily cost over $1 million. for a collision with an elk, with a train, can be easily 200,000. So these are actually the four areas that we've been working with for about 6 years. But we do work also with other cases that I will tell you a little bit more about. And if we look at the human-wildlife conflicts globally and at scale, we are looking at about $50 billion across critical infrastructure. And this is only getting worse as we are taking more and more space from animals as well. And in Colorado, there's also a lot of trends that we see everywhere else in the world. So on the roads, there is about 3,000 wildlife vehicle crashes per year, which contributes to 66 million in annual costs. There's more and more large carnivores that are being seen in urban spaces, and also a lot of problems with wildlife at the airports. So about 20,000 wildlife strikes have been actually reported across Colorado. So what are we doing about it today? I mean, so far it's been a lot about legacy solutions. So you might have seen pyrotechnics or lasers or different fences and different acoustic solutions that get triggered by motion, and they don't really have the intelligence. Within transportation, there is also different wildlife crossings that are being built that are amazing, but you cannot really build them everywhere where we would need to. And there are also different detection solutions, but they don't really deter animals and keep the problem away. So this is kind of where my idea of kind of founding Flox started. I was working at an AI lab in Stockholm at the Royal Institute of Technology in 2020. And I've been working a lot within transportation, but I've had a lot of passion for wildlife and linguistics. And this is kind of where the three of them intersect. So in simplified terms, what we are doing at Flox Intelligence is really applying the latest of AI with wildlife science and decoding what animals have been saying all along. And we do that by kind of pairing the reactions and the real acoustic signals. We work a lot with different universities, and we then apply it, especially to speak back to them, to keep them away from critical areas where they are not supposed to be. And in order to do that, we have a team that are both AI engineers and wildlife biologists that are actually working together side by side every day. And this is the product. So we call it Flox Edge because it's basically a sensor that has all the AI running on the edge inside of the unit. And it's a sensor that speaks the language of wildlife. So we've built it with extreme conditions and remote areas in mind. So it works on LTE connectivity, so you can put it in mountains and places where even normal mobile phone or similar don't work. And it actually works on almost 2,000 deterrence events per charge. So it can be about half a year or even up to a year. And the range is depending on how big the animal is. So we work with everything from small birds and squirrels and rabbits all the way to bigger fauna like elk or bisons, or we have grizzly bears as well. And this is how the unit works. So it's actually, you can place it everywhere on poles or fences, existing infrastructure, or on trees as well. And it's in a sleep mode until it detects a motion. And then we awaken the unit and we can see if it's a person, is it an animal, is it a vehicle? And then if it's an animal, we look into what is the species, but also is it, for example, a mom with the babies, or is it, what is the group size, and all the context that we can get in order to work with them in the right way. And based on that, the unit starts to play signals. It's different audio signals with their own communication. So you can think about alarm calls, distress calls. Sometimes we have some predatory cues for that specific region. And most importantly, the unit actually learns with each interaction. So it takes back all the events, and we can be more and more detailed with working with the local wildlife populations. And just so that I not only talk, I will actually show you. So this is our engineer being detected and deterred. Just having fun at work. And here is so here you can see this is in the middle of the night where we work with wild pigs in Texas. So this is kind of how the unit works. And then everything that the unit can see is also streamlined directly into our platform. So when we work with different airports or DOTs or different customers, they can actually manage all the units in the platform. They can see the raw data, so short videos for each interaction of 30 seconds. And they can also generate different dashboards and insights. So for example, for airports to simplify reporting to FAA, or we have mining companies that use it to gather the data for biodiversity reporting. And yeah, so for this, we've also won a couple of different prizes. I think the biggest one has been last month, where we won a Genius New York accelerator program of $1 million, which is kind of the largest accelerator for autonomous systems in the world. And most importantly, we have now scaled to different flagship customers. So we work with everything from airports to governments, cities. We have different DOTs. NGOs is a big one as well, and farmers. So everywhere where you kind of have human-wildlife conflicts, this is where we try to support. And now I will go a bit more to kind of detail. So far, we've deterred successfully about 62,000 animals from critical infrastructure. Maybe it doesn't sound like a big number, but what I would like to kind of think about is that with each of these could actually have been a collision. So this is actually millions of dollars in losses that are avoided. And some of the cases, so within transportation, we work now with everything from badgers in Germany that have been quite challenging for different railways. We work with keeping stray dogs from highways in Portugal. We will soon be deploying with New Brunswick DOT in Canada, Alberta as well. We've been working with Swedish Transport Administration for about 5 years now, keeping reindeer out of different railways, highways, and also helping them cross different wildlife crossings, so steering them in the right direction. And we are also working with Banff National Park as well. For airports, we work with everything from smaller European airports to some of the bigger ones. I will speak a bit more about Denver International, but the first one we've done in the US has been Grand Rapids in Michigan. Now we are deployed also in Illinois with Mid-America, and with kind of each airport we are looking more into what are the different species, of course, what are the different requirements, and tailor the system to their needs. And here are also some different cases kind of showing also the different species. So it's really a big variety of species that we work with. It's everything from mountain lions and black bears in California with UC Davis. We have a lot of stubborn Canadian geese with City of Stockholm. We also started to recently work with seals and keeping them away from different marine areas. So that's a big one. And we work a lot with the carnivore experts with the World Wildlife Fund. So everything from lynx to larger carnivores as well. And yes, so as you can maybe hear, so I'm from Sweden originally, but I've spent, I think, the last 3 years just on airplanes between the US and Europe, because we've seen that there's so many problems here in the US, and so much also kind of willingness to try new technologies. And Colorado has actually been the first state where we kind of landed, and we got into the Smart City Accelerator last year. And we started to work with Tyler and everyone, and we didn't know anything about the US market before. So we got to kind of understand the different requirements and the different challenges, and everything kind of accelerated since then. So today I will talk a little bit more about 6 of the cases that we have in Colorado: Denver International, Colorado Parks and Wildlife, Greeley-Weld County Airport. We also do work with USDA Wildlife Research Center in Fort Collins, and also Castle Pines Golf Club. So with Denver International, we actually got a connection through Tyler and the accelerator as well. And we recently deployed first units on 2 of the cases, where we will be helping them both with managing pigeons. So pigeons that are a bit challenging for passenger experience. So everyone at different terminals, at the train stations, but they also can be a risk for the safety at the airport. And another case that we are actually working with is with rabbits. So rabbits that actually come out at night, and they like to chew and eat the tires of fire trucks and different other trucks. So that's also something that we would not have been able to even know has been an issue. But this is something that we are starting with. And then, of course, there are other cases, but this is where we started to deploy units, and we will be continuing deploying more and more units throughout the summer as well. With Greeley-Weld, it's a bit a different species, and there we actually use a SEPA grant that is actually funding the project. And we will be working with especially geese, crows, foxes, and coyotes that are usually coming in to the airport. So that is something where we will be deploying during the summer, and it will last for 3 years is the grant. Then these are also the different scenarios. So maybe you have been wondering kind of how many units would you even need, or how to start. And usually we see 2 scenarios. So both for Greeley and for Denver International, we go kind of for the hotspot approach. So their teams usually know where the biggest problems are. And this is kind of where we deploy. But we do have airports in Europe where maybe they are smaller, and we actually create like a virtual fence around the airport. So there are different types, but usually we start at some of the hotspots and usually extend from there. And I mentioned some of the cases. So the fire truck protection for rabbits is a big one. We have also with Greeley-Weld, it will be different fence gates and fence perimeters. But we've also seen with other airports, maybe there are problems with birds at the jet bridges. That has been a big one. Different other bird hotspots, or we've actually also seen that it's becoming more and more relevant with perimeter intrusion as well. So kind of detecting people, and we can actually not only detect people, but we can play a message to them saying, hey, you are not supposed to be here, someone is coming. So there's a way also to have extra layer of security. With USDA Wildlife Research Center, there we are actually, so they are testing and evaluating our units now for feral swine. So we have been working in Texas, and these are some pictures where you can kind of see our devices. So the first phase has been in fenced areas, so it's really scientific studies, and the goal is to measure over time and also see how well it's performing on the different populations, and how if successful after the trials, how it could be maybe deployed to stop maybe disease spreading, like feral disease and so on. And yeah, just to speed it up, we've been working a lot with different seed producers as well. So the big one is crop protection. We work with different vineyards as well. And yes, Colorado Parks and Wildlife is also a big one. So we do have two projects with them now. One is with avoiding deer collisions with cars, by different roads, and the second one is with wolves. So helping out with the wolf reintroduction and placing the units close to different ranches, so making sure that we can keep livestock safe. And for so Castle Pines Golf Club will be actually the first golf club that will be also deploying us. And there we will be looking at both bears and also herds of elk. So that will be interesting. There we will be deploying in autumn this year. So I'm sure that there will be a lot of learnings as well. And yeah, just to give you also some other use cases. So recently with other cases, also mainly in Canada and the US, we've seen other kind of conservation cases. So grizzly bears, keeping them out of trash cans, working with badgers at golf courses, keeping mountain lions away from different tourist tracks and camps. And also keeping species like monkeys away from different public areas in Singapore. So one of also other infrastructure, so we recently started to work with energy infrastructure. So you can think of stakeholders like National Grid, so keeping squirrels, possums, raccoons away from substations. That's also something that we just started to work with. And yeah, I think to sum it up, kind of what we have seen is that it's a lot of different species, a lot of different cases, but where we like to help is also kind of look at the projects where we can keep infrastructure safe, but also protect wildlife at the same time and give better data. So make sure that people can manage populations of different wildlife in a data-based and humane way. And yeah, I think that's it. So if maybe you also have some problems, we would love to help and maybe do a demo for you. And also now that we have more and more deployments soon throughout Colorado, so you can maybe also go at some of the sites and have a look and experience the tech yourself. But you can also shoot me an email. It's just sarah@floxintelligence.com. All right. I think that's it. If there are any questions, just let me know.
Thank you so much, Sarah. There's so many new use cases since the last time we spoke. I had no idea that rabbits eat the rubber on fire truck tires. That's an interesting problem. And the progress that you've made in Colorado is really substantial as well. So congratulations on all of that. Do you know when the Denver International Airport signage will be up that's talking about what you're doing there? I think I saw something on a slide about that.
Yeah, so we just deployed the first batch of the units, so they are live, and then we will continue the rest this and next month. So during summer, everything will be deployed, and then we will go out with it as well.
Awesome. Well, I have several questions for you, but I will prioritize our guests. So if you have a question for Sarah, feel free to either raise your virtual hand or put a question in the chat, and we'll make sure it gets answered. And maybe, here we go. Michael, go ahead.
Hey, good morning, everybody. So, Sarah, you on one of your slides, you showed like a human entering a boundary, like within an airport, right? Unfortunately, we just had that happen at Denver International Airport. So this system seems focused on wildlife, but is that the use case also for airport security to use it?
Yes, so it's actually something that came from one of the airports here in the US, where they actually asked the question, if you can detect the wildlife and kind of speak to them, why can't you do it with humans? And we were like, of course we can do it. So then they actually they recorded a sound that they want to play, something like, hey, stay away, someone is coming, security has been alerted. So that's what we started to do, because for us it doesn't matter if we detect a human or any animal, and if you want to just send an alert and not act on it, or if you want us to send a sound as well.
Thank you. And last question real quick. Tyler, thanks for inviting me. Sarah, great presentation. I love this stuff. Do you guys use infrared?
Yes.
Okay, I might have missed it. I was a little bit late. Sorry about that. Okay.
Yes, we do use infrared. So the unit actually works day and night, and we don't use thermal, just to keep the unit not as expensive, so that you can have more of them.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. Great questions. Any others? I don't see any hands raised or questions in the chat. As people think about them, I guess one question I had, Sarah, is for airports, for example, what you mentioned some of the current status quo techniques for wildlife deterrence. How does this compare cost-wise to those existing things that people are already using that aren't as effective as what you're doing?
Yeah, so it depends on kind of the industry, the segment, but what we see a lot is a lot of manual work. So for example, at airports or farms as well, you usually have people going around, and some lethal control and some non-lethal control, like pyrotechnics and so on. So of course that is a big cost. And then I think for us, so the one unit, for example, as we are selling them for now, is about $3,000. And then we have volume discounts, right? So it kind of goes up and down depending on the case. But we also see ourselves as kind of additional tool in their toolbox, especially for airports. So you still need to or want to have other tools as well, but we can actually help with the different hotspots where you still struggle with. And maybe other thing is also, so if you have larger land, it doesn't mean that you need to have a virtual fence of our units. So for example, we have one farm in Washington State, the Nelson and Silver Creek farms, where they have huge lands. I think it's 200 hectares, and they just had 3 units, and they actually managed to keep elk away for the whole season because they knew exactly where the elk is coming from. So if you know the hotspots and kind of the paths, you usually can actually kind of figure out a way with fewer devices, and you can also move them around. So we have farmers or airports where maybe you have some problems during spring, and then you can use the devices where you have other wildlife problems during summer or autumn as well. So yeah, I hope it answered the question.
It did, very much. Michael, go ahead.
And tell me to be quiet, Tyler, if I need to, but this is fascinating. So with the wolves, for instance, right? That's a big problem we have here in Colorado with the eating livestock. I'm just curious what that operational model is. There's an alert. Is it sent to CPW? Is it sent to the rancher? How does that work? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so it's sent to the customer. So for us right now, it's Colorado Parks and Wildlife. They have the data, but the unit actually does the job. So we are not just alerting, we are deterring the wolves directly inside on the edge inside of the unit. But then we send the data and the kind of reports every with each interaction or daily or yeah, kind of the way you would like to have the information through the platform.
And I would guess that would probably tell a story around return on investment, right? For each livestock that's killed, there's a monetary dollar amount that CPW has to pay. So are you guys measuring ROI through something like that?
Yes, so we do have different KPIs for each project that we take on. And that's one of them, kind of seeing what are the different implications. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and with the wolves specifically, they pay. I know very little, but I know enough to be dangerous that they pay, range riders to go and manually try and deter wolves today. So I'm sure there's a great ROI there. We had a question come in through the chat. What are some of the best or preferred ways to power or recharge the batteries and also provide connectivity in these remote locations?
Yeah, that's a great question. So let me go to the right slide. Yeah, so it actually has a battery that comes with the unit. With the standard battery, it usually works with about 6 months to a year on a single charge. It depends on the deterrence events. So it's about 6 months if you have 10 deterrence events per day, which is quite a lot for normal use. And we do, so right now it's purely battery driven. We can plug in solar as well to extend the battery. So that could be something for many cases in Colorado. And for connectivity, we use LTE-M, which is kind of connectivity that you have basically everywhere throughout the US and Europe, even in very remote areas where you don't have your own cell coverage. This is where the unit can work. We can also actually work off-grid, so we can have the different playlists for the different wildlife in the area, and then the unit will actually detect and deter them on the unit with no connectivity, but you need to take the devices in order to get the data and train the models and learn as well. Yeah.
Thanks, Sarah. Any other questions for Sarah? There are a few questions here in the chat, so we'll start to go through them. One is, does the device record video clips or does it only send still images?
Yes, so for each interaction, just like I showed you with the pigs, this is what you get. So like 30 seconds of a video that shows up in the platform, and then we generate insights on top of it as well. And for the app, so the platform, yes, it's supported both on iPads, phone, computers. We can also integrate, so some of the stakeholders already have their own maybe asset management platforms or other platforms, and we do work with different APIs, so we can actually push all the data to your platform of choice if you are using something else. What was the
third one? You mentioned that you do use a thermal camera, but is there a standard camera as well and AI analytics in the edge?
Yeah, so we don't use thermal, we use infrared.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That gives us that gives us still the possibility to work day and night. So once the unit actually awakens with the motion, we trigger the infrared and we can see very well.
And then the last question was, you mentioned the cost per unit being about 3,000, but if you included a solar panel, roughly how much might that add?
I need to double check, but it's not a lot. So we usually do like at cost the solar panel.
Great. Good questions, John. Thank you. Any others? Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, so we're dealing with wildlife, so I presume we don't have a lot of privacy issues like we do with humans. So, but in the case where you might be tracking human movements or interactions like at the airport, are there privacy or security concerns that have to be taken into account?
Yes. So we do work a lot with in Europe we have a GDPR as well. So we are blurring all the faces directly inside of the unit. So the faces never leave the unit and are sent to the cloud. And We also store the data. So for all the US customers, we store the data in the US, for European in the Europe as well. So that's kind of the standard precautions we take.
Thank you.
Another question in the chat. What is the angle of detection and how loud are the speakers?
They can be very loud. So usually, I can double check in our tech specifications, but it's very loud. So usually the customers have the volume on like 50 or 60% because we don't need to be very loud in order to work with the animals because their hearing range, they are much more sensitive. And for, so it's usually, 90% field of view. So you can actually put also more units if you would like to have like a whole coverage.
Awesome. Great questions, guys. And what about lateral field of view? Is it, 180 degrees of everything in front of the unit?
Yeah, about that, yeah.
Okay. Any others? Oh, I guess one question I had, Sarah, for procurement. I know one or two of the projects here in Colorado, you successfully got some grant funding from the state to support them. But from a procurement perspective, like how have you seen agencies be, successful in helping to procure your units?
Yeah, so we actually help a lot with providing different documents. So we have sole source documents for each segment, which explains kind of how are we different compared to the solutions out there. And then we have different case studies, third-party case studies as well. And that's kind of usually how we support and usually get different grants and different projects.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen another solution that does this, so a sole source is probably one of the easier ways to go.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, I will leave a little more time here if anyone else has any final questions for Sarah.
So real quick, this is Michael again. My mother's Belgian, so if you need to ship me over there and help you guys out, let me know. Okay. So, but in any case, and you said if you buy in bulk, you get a bigger discount than the $3,000, correct? Okay. So with the sole source procurement, the use case is really around wildlife, but are you looking to expand it beyond? I mean, clearly you had a use case at the airport with human beings and stuff like that, but are you looking to expand it beyond just focus around wildlife mitigation?
That's for sure the biggest case for us. But right now when we are expanding, we do have cases where it's pure security perimeter as well. So it depends on the case, but we do have some other infrastructure where it's also military bases and so on, where we provide security, and where maybe before they had the normal wildlife cameras or security cameras, but they don't really work that well, and they have a lot of false triggers and false positives. So that's what we do as well. But usually wildlife is kind of everywhere anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I live near Buckley, so interesting use case. Thank you.
Yeah, Air Force bases, I'm sure, another one. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for joining us and sharing what you're doing to protect all of us, including our animal friends. And we did record this, so we'll be sending that out to everyone that registered, and encourage you to share it as well, because this is incredible work. So thank you for doing it, and thanks for joining us today. And we'll have another one of these in 2 months. It'll be focused on AI in permitting within government, and look forward to seeing you all then. Thanks, everyone.
Have a good day. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.